Hey guys, oh my gosh, what a day it has been. I've just crawled into bed, got my jammies on, and I'm like, I'm just going to do an I Ching consultation to try and understand what exactly happened today. If you've watched the shorts that I put up today, you'll see that I had the most incredible experience. Went out busking, and the first person that came along and put some money in my bucket was somebody who looked exactly like the legendary Iceman Wim Hof, and you'll have to watch the shorts. Okay, this is a true story. I'm out busking and I just started and I was playing Blue Moon, and a guy walked past and he was like, oh wow, really cool. And then he went a little further and then he came back and he put $2 in my bucket, and I swear to God, if it wasn't Wim Hof, it looked exactly like him. And I was like, I wanted to chase him down the street and say, you look exactly like Wim Hof. And now I'm thinking, is Wim Hof actually in Australia at the moment? Because if not, his doppelganger literally just walked past, and now I'm regretting it. I didn't say anything because it could have actually been him, and I could have actually met him in person, and that would have been like so exciting for me. So yeah, anyway, I don't know. Let me know if anyone knows Wim Hof. Where is he? Is he in Australia at the moment? Is he in Queensland? Is he on the Sunshine Coast? Inquiring minds want to know, because I'll happily play him another song if he comes back. I was like, oh, was that him? Was that him? And then he came back and I said, oh, I'm so glad you came back. I'm like, when you went past before, I wanted to stop and run after you and tell you that, are you Wim Hof? You look exactly like Wim Hof. And it was Wim Hof. Okay, so I wasn't joking. It actually is Wim Hof.
Yes, that's me.
Is it him? And
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
here.
she broke the ice now. And the Iceman does, because the ice was still there, strong. But we broke the ice and then I got out. I popped out. Here I am, the
I
Iceman.
knew it was him. I'm so happy.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, amazing music.
Tell people who you are, just in case some of my followers have no
Yes,
idea. Okay, so this
who
guy got
I
me.
am. I'm a person who's got great faith and is able to make that change what humanity needs right now.
Yes.
Not 100 years ago or in 100 years, right now. We bring that neurological network to the control of people,
Yeah.
anybody,
Yeah.
that enables him to take over autonomy over all the processes in the brain and the body.
Yeah.
And I do it through universities by which there is no speculation about it.
Yeah.
It is only a choice.
True.
I want to bring happiness, strength, and health to every person in the world. And that means right here, right now, because we are there.
And
That's
and,
where
and,
we are.
and how he does it, he's got an amazing breathing technique. You'd have heard me talking on my videos about how I do Wim Hof breathing every morning. And he actually is, my doctor actually here in Mulaney told me when I had very bad rheumatoid arthritis, I was completely crippled, I couldn't walk.
Wow.
And he told me about ice baths and ice showers and,
Yeah.
and dumping, and I've
Exactly.
been doing that 5 years ago, and I'm on the carnivore diet as well. But I'm now completely healed, and I have no
Wow.
more autoimmune. I can stand on
Wow.
my feet all day.
Inflammation
and I have, inflammation
completely
is
down.
gone.
That's the method. If you got inflammation,
Yeah,
any disease, inflammation based,
yeah.
get it down through breathing,
Breathing and
believing,
cold.
and cold.
Cold is your
Cold
friend.
is your warm friend.
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
say for me my favorite words that I love to hear you say
Yes.
when you say, let the body do what the body knows.
Oh, let the body do what the body is capable of, what the body knows from the depth. And the depth is where you meet
That's
your
it.
soul.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Honestly, made
Yeah.
my day. If you don't know who he is, because I couldn't put links in the shorts, but I will in this video, I'll put a link to the breathing technique of his that I follow. It's really simple. It's 10 minutes. Lie down, just, you know, I mean, I've done it in fields and on rocks and in all sorts of random places as well, but he talks you through the process, and it sounds a lot more challenging than it really is. It's actually really easy, to the point where in the second or third round, yeah, you can hold your breath for as long as you want, but I can go well beyond what the normal rounds are at the moment. So it's very good for healing. And I know, there are some times when I don't do it because I sort of launch out of bed and I just think, oh, I'll do it later, and I don't get around to it. And I can tell you right now that it literally does make a difference to the way your day goes, whether you do or not. So now that I've met him, I feel like that's synchronicity at play, and that's a big reminder for me to really focus on that, because it is a part of my healing journey that I think has. Yeah, I told him my doctor had told me about ice baths and cold showers, but I didn't really tell the full story. My doctor actually said what happened was I was staying at a campground at the time that my rheumatoid was so bad, and it was not 5 years ago. This was a long time ago. This is when I very first had rheumatoid. So we're going back like 10 years or something. I was so bad when all my joints were locked up in every part of my body. I could not physically stand on my feet for more than about 5 minutes. 5 minutes was pretty much my capacity, and I was, my feet would just give way. So having a shower became really frustrating, especially when you're living in a caravan. And I would go to the shower block and I'd have basically 5 minutes of being able to stand there. I mean, it was hard enough not being able to raise your arms, and things like washing your hair. I was in so much pain. I shudder to think about it now, how bad it really was. And I was telling my doctor, I mean, at that stage, I would drive to the doctor's surgery, like park outside. They would bring a wheelchair out for me and wheelchair me into the appointment. Like, that's how bad I was. I mean, really, really crippled and seized up in every part of my body. And I was telling him my frustrations. I mean, this poor doctor of mine, I mean, he hasn't seen me for a couple of years, because I've been great since I've been on the carnivore diet. But he had me in there a lot, and I was in tears, and I'm just so desperate for anything to help me. And I said, this is really hard for me, because every time I have a shower, what happened was the campground showers had this annoying habit where they would run hot for a little bit and then they'd just go completely cold. And it's like the middle of winter. It's a Besser block shower block with big gaping holes, like the air flows through. It's not insulated. There's no heating. There's no nothing. You're just standing there shivering and shaking because the water ran cold, and you don't know how long. And I knew I had 5 minute capacity, so I got to stand there and wait for the water to get hot again before I could finish my shower. And it was really, really frustrating me. And he said, this is the same doctor that said, I've heard good things about the carnivore diet. He said, I'm going to give you a name and I want you to go home and look it up. And he wrote down Wim Hof on a piece of paper. Wim Hof. And he said, it's about embracing the cold rather than fighting it. He goes, why don't you use it to your advantage? And I was kind of like, how does that work? Like, what, you want me to shock my body? Like, that can't be healthy for me. Like, how could that be good? But he kind of tried to explain it, and he just says, like, go off and look it up, So I did. And I started doing that initially with the cold showers, just instead of fighting it and go, like our impulse is to go, and like seize up and whatever, and just sort of as Wim Hof says, let the body do what the body knows what to do, it knows how to do this stuff. So the theory is, if I can explain Wim Hof in a nutshell for people who don't understand with the cold exposure, is that back in more primitive times, when we were more exposed to elements, and nowadays we kind of mollycoddle ourselves. We sit inside a cozy little warmed up house or an air conditioned house, and we have clothes and we rug up, and we kind of are always trying to keep it a steady temperature. And I know for me that temperature has been a huge part of my comfort zone feelings. Like if it's too hot or it's too cold, the temperature, I used to get really, really, really frustrated by that. I couldn't think straight. Like I'd feel like I was melting down if it was too hot, and my shoulders would go up like this when it was cold, although I've always been better with the cold than the heat, funny enough. And I love snow and skiing, and I used to ski in a t-shirt. So I guess I was naturally drawn to cold more than heat. Heat and humidity really, 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 really I find challenging. So it's the fact that we mollycoddle ourselves and we protect our physiology from the normal kind of ebbs and flows and fluctuations that temperature would have provided with us. And physiologically, we don't, our bodies don't know the difference necessarily between stressors that are of physical origin or mental origin. So we all are suffering from stress and anxiety and all these things, and this is what eventually, that adrenal response, the fight or flight response, that cortisol kind of rushing through your body, can get stuck. You get into adrenal overdrive because your adrenals are pumping out all these hormones that says I'm supposed to fight something or I'm supposed to run from something. And if I, in the history of our past, we would do those things, we would express that, and we'd need those hormones to do that immediate action, and then we'd recover from that. But nowadays we're all so stressed all the time because there's just, we live in a stressful world, and it gets stuck in the on position and there's no break. It's like the sympathetic nervous system is in overdrive, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is supposed to calm you back down, doesn't get a chance because it's one thing after another after another. So Wim Hof's theory is that if you can physiologically adapt to those kinds of shifts and changes, that your body becomes more adaptable, and then once your body becomes more adaptable to stressors like extreme cold, and you can, be comfortable with it, then you will be more adept at dealing with stressful things that are mind related as well. So there's a lot to be said for it. And like he said, there's a lot of, he's been studied by people all around the world. They've hooked him up to millions of machines, and they've measured his all his physiological responses, and seen that it's a proven theory. It actually works. So he's a real legend, this guy. And I'm kind of stoked because there's a few people now that I've been very much inspired by in my life, and through whatever strange circumstances and places I happen to be, maybe that's the advantage of having been a traveler all my life, that I've managed to cross paths with some people that have been so influential to me. And and Wim Hof today was just, I still can't believe it. Like, I was literally rationalizing in my brain, like, why would he be walking down the street here like that? It's just, how could that happen? And it was, amazing moment. And, and meeting people like Michael Leunig, oh my gosh, whose book I had only just bought like a couple of weeks before he passed away. I got to meet him and talk to him too. Like, it's not like I just meet them and say hello. I get to have chats to these people about stuff that matters to me, like we engaged, and it felt really special. And when I was younger, I got to meet Neil Finn because I was a huge Split Enz fan in New Zealand, and they went on to make Crowded House, and huge influence on my music. I play a lot of their music now in my set when I'm busking. So as a 15-year-old, I just ended up at a random party, just weird synchronicitous chain of events that happened, and I end up at the after party from the concert and sitting at a table with Neil Finn talking about the music. And he's saying to me things like, oh, kids these days don't appreciate, real music like the Beatles and stuff like that. And I said, actually, no, my friends and I, like in school, we used to sit around and play piano and play music and sing Beatles songs. We were big Beatles fans. And, I remember calling a radio station once and entering into a competition to go and see this Beatlemania musical, and I had to sing a Beatles song. And I remember singing Blackbird. It was my favorite Beatles. I play so many Beatles songs in my busking set. I'm a huge fan. So, to be able to kind of sit there and talk music with Neil Finn, like, that's pretty cool. There are others, random people, but they're probably the most significant for me, was Neil Finn, Michael Leunig, and now Iceman Wim Hof. What a treat. So I was on a bit of a high, I mean, I only did an hour of busking because honestly I was just so silly excited. I mean, what you didn't see in the video was when he said it's me, I was just like, I went bonkers. I was like, when I get really excited about something, I jump up and down and I clap my hands a lot and I run around in circles and I just get very like, like I think people must have been thinking, what the heck? And it was funny because I don't think anyone else in the street realized who this person was. He was just walking up and down like casual with another person, and here's me going absolutely bonkers, like, yeah, like Jesus has walked down the street kind of thing. It was pretty impressive. So yeah, I was very, very excited. And that made me really happy because even though it wasn't a particularly fruitful busking day, I ended up spending more time like telling people, because I know quite a few people. I see people in town that I know, and I'm like, oh, guess who I just saw? And they didn't know who he was. I was really surprised. I just assumed everybody knows who he is because he's so huge in my world, and in the whole healing kind of world. Um, so yeah, I was really, really excited, really happy. And I'm like, gosh, synchronicity, man, in my life, everything's just clicking into place. And even though it's a challenge, and you cannot, when you talk about synchronicity and being blessed and grateful and having an attitude of gratitude, which I'm really focusing on doing these days and have been for a while, it's not enough to just sit back and expect the universe to just dump everything you want in your lap. Like, you do have to make the effort. You move towards it. You move towards your desired outcome or your goal, and then watch the universe just reward you immensely for that effort. And I've been feeling really proud of myself because I'm trying to give a lot of my energy and my joy and my happiness and time. And I've taken a few people who really needed some healing time down to the river with me to show them how being in the river can be just such a beautiful healing experience, to connect with nature and just lie on those rocks and bask in the sun and ground yourself and have those healing moments. Like, I really feel like I'm trying to adopt a more mindset of service, because I think that that's important spiritually, to be of service and to try to be more compassionate and understanding of other people, the way people have been with me, or if they haven't, the way I wish they'd been with me. And I felt like I was in a really good place in all of those aspects. But then a strange thing happened. I rolled back in from that amazing experience, and I'm going to save the rest of this story for another video because I'm trying to keep this one on a positive note, and everything was really great up until that point. So I'm just going to wrap this one up, and you guys can just tune in next time for what happened next.